Is everyone ready to get started? Everybody find a seat. Everybody get close together and body warmth.
Yeah, because it's cold.
My name is Debbie Delgado, and I'm from Alamo Chapter, National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. I'm the first Vice Regent and the event coordinator for this event. I would like to thank everyone for coming out for the opening ceremony today. We really appreciate it with the weather the way it is. And we knew we would have a good outcome, and we have. Thank you. We are proud that you're joining us to welcome the replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. I would like to mention a few distinguished guests that we have today. State Senator Jose Menendez is here. We also have our NSDAR state historian, Georgianne Brockstein, here on stage. We also have our state librarian, Alice Braun Jones. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend, and we really appreciate your time. So now I ask everyone to please stand. Color guard, post colors.
Shoulder arm. Left face. Forward march. Mark time, march. Color guard, hold. Left face. Present arms.
We'll have pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Post colors.
Colors. Shoulder arms. Colors pose.
Mike Giglio for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mike.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
We'll have our national anthem now, which will be played by Mike Kincaid and Robert Ramirez, and feel free to sing along with them. I'll ask Pastor Joe Waltz to come up and do our invocation for us.
I invite you to pray along with me as I lead us in this prayer. Dear God, thank you for every manifestation of your love, grace, and caring. As we gather in this setting, memories are abounding. Thank you for those who have made this event possible for us today. Understanding that we are the land of the free because of the brave. From our colonial days, faith has been a vital ingredient of our being. I ask you help us to remember that freedom is not free. Give your special blessing to all those who are giving leadership to this session today, liberty of speech and communication to the hearts of these assembled. Thank you for the brave disposition being demonstrated for these who have come out to participate in this setting today. All who have contributed, we thank you, Lord. In your holy name, I make my prayer. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. You may be seated. We'll have a wreath presentation now. When your organization's name is called, please bring your wreaths up the center aisle. Presenting for the Samuel May Williams Squadron, Texas Navy Association will be Commander Richard Weissel. Joan Polk is up front. This is Samuel May. There we go. These wreaths will be here during the ceremony, and then after the ceremony they'll be taken out to the wall. The Veterans of Greater San Antonio Area, presented by President Tom Ernest. No? We've had bad weather today. Traffic. Okay, how about Alamo Eagles chapter of the 101 Airborne Division Association, Gary Rennick and Walter Lisi, both from the 101 in Vietnam. They served. Next we have Edgewood District Veterans Association, Dr. Mario Longoria and Juan Bettis. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. We'll go right on to our speakers. Joy Collins, Regent Joy Collins. I would first like to introduce Joy. She is the regent that has served as our regent since 2015 and has spearheaded so many projects, lots that we've been proud to go with. This is one of her largest projects, and we just got through doing one downtown, first responders for their veterans and the families we did in downtown San Antonio. As regent, she has elevated our chapter to the highest level of service in patriotism, preservation, and education. Let's get Miss Joy Collins up here.
Thank you, Debbie. Debbie is our regent-elect and will take over in May and will be excellent at it. So we appreciate Debbie. On behalf of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, Alamo Chapter, and all 27 sponsors for today's event, we welcome each of you to a weekend where we will come together as Central Texas to show appreciation for a time in history where our soldiers were left confused and hurt. But first I want to introduce you to our sponsors. We had 27 sponsors, 27, and we had to turn several down. They so quickly came to us. I think that that is a sign of how much they appreciate what our Vietnam veterans did. So if you will graciously allow me to introduce them to you, and as I mentioned, your sponsorship, if you would stand, we'll hold our appreciation till all of them have been announced. Captain Augustus Jones, chapter of United States Daughters of 1812. Clara Barton, detached tent number 3 of Daughters of Union Veterans. Knights of Columbus, St. Joseph's, Honey Creek. Long Dock chapter, National Huguenot Society. Llano Uplift chapter, NSDAR. The Robert Spear chapter, NSCD, 17th Century. San Antonio chapter, Sons of the American Revolution. David Crockett chapter number 416 of United States Daughters of 1812. Rose Window San Jose chapter of Daughters of American Colonists. The Alamo City Guards Camp, Sons of Confederate Veterans. Albert Sidney Johnson, 2060, United Daughters of the Confederacy. Atascosa, chapter NSDAR. George W. Kendall, chapter NSDAR. Green Mountain Boys, NSDAR. James McHenry, NSDAR. Major James Kerr, chapter NSDAR. Old Chavanaugh, chapter NSDAR. San Antonio Area Regents Council, NSDAR. The Colonial Dames of American chapter, 36. The Veterans and Business Associations were Honor Flight San Antonio, Alamo Eagles chapter of 101st Airborne Division Association, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Fort Sam Houston Memorial Services Detachment, San Antonio Patriot Guard Riders, 312th Military Intelligence Battalion, United States Army, who constructed the wall this week. Veterans of Foreign Affairs, post number 76. D&D Twin Print Printing, LE Promotional Products. Now I'd like to make, when this project started, there were several people who went to Portland, Texas to see how that program was constructed. And I'd like to introduce, for the wall that heals, Debbie and Henry Delgado. Henry is considered a HODAR, husband of a DAR. Ginger Pastrano, and my husband, Jerry Collins. For leading the wall safely to the cemetery, the San Antonio Patriot Guard Riders, their motorcycles were beautiful. They're beautiful. And it was a beautiful sight to see them drive down the streets and come here to the cemetery. Thank you. And the San Antonio Police Department, they got here safely. For donating food and beverages while erecting the wall was Bill Miller, HEB, Madison Estates, Snowflake Donuts, and Starbucks. We had to feed our boys and girls that helped put that wall up. Other support we had were Cortez Liquid Waste Company, Holt Caterpillar, and Fort Sam Houston Cemetery Administration and Ground Crew. Planning event details coordinated with the Joint Base San Antonio Director, Aubrey Davis. There's Aubrey. And Assistant Director, Rashonda Boss, who could not be here today and really regrets not being here. We are getting to the speech, I promise. MSD, Military Services Detachment, for their buglers, flag holders, rifle volley, and Alamo chapter members who scheduled the schools, coordinating volunteers, the media contacts, and vendors. Alamo chapter, would you stand? I would especially like to thank each and every one of you for the effort that you put to help make this thing just go so smoothly. Thank you, ladies. Great job.
Mike Kelly. He's the Assistant Vice President of Military Affairs at USAA. We couldn't have this event without Mr. Kelly because USAA is a major contributor to this effort of the VVMF. Mr. Kelly leads the USAA Military Advocacy Group and serves as Deputy of Military Affairs. His team focuses on a national dialogue surrounding important veterans and spouse issues. He has been with USAA since 2003 and has spent 25 years in the Air Force, both as an NCO and an officer before retiring in 2002. Mike is a representative of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation annual, honoring our heroes, Colonel Mike Indris Leadership Award for Individual Excellence in Veterans Employment. Mike was also selected as the 2018 We Are the Mighty 25 influencer for his work in the military veterans community, where he dedicates his time connecting, equipping, and inspiring opportunities that benefit the military community at large. Let's welcome Mike Kelly.
Who is that guy? That's not me. Thank you all for being here today. Sorry for not having my speech out here and ready. Thank you, Regent-elect Delgado, members of the Alamo chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, our friends from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund of San Antonio, military leaders, community leaders, Senator Menendez, thank you for being here today. Most importantly, our surviving Vietnam veterans, their family members, supporters, and those who choose to remember their loved ones lost during this conflict. Thanks to all who had a hand in bringing the wall that heals to Military City, USA. What a great place for it to start its 2019 tour. And especially to the DAR and the Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery for being such wonderful and generous hosts. But you could have done a better job on the weather. It is a privilege to be here with you today representing USAA and the opening of this remarkable tribute to those who served and sacrificed so selflessly during a very difficult and divided time in our country. USAA is proud to partner with the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund to bring this traveling tribute to Military City, USA, and give this community, all of us, a chance to confront and heal the hurts and losses of the past. Since it was unveiled in 1986, the wall has visited more than 400 communities across the nation, spreading the memorial's healing legacy to millions. And thanks to USA's ongoing sponsorship, the wall will travel to more than 30 cities across the United States this year. As a company that was formed by the military, for the military, right here in San Antonio back in 1922, USAA is very pleased to sponsor programs such as this that preserve the legacy of service while educating all generations about the impact of the Vietnam War. It's especially important when the Veterans Affairs Department of our nation says that we're losing more than 500 veterans daily who served during the Vietnam Wars. That's striking. Now more than ever, we need to look for every opportunity on every day to thank our veterans, and the wall gives us that chance. And I'm glad to see so many here with us today who share that sentiment. Now is the time for all Americans to fully embrace the brave men and women who returned home from Vietnam. And so great to see so many of you here with us today. Returning home from Vietnam and other locations around the world, often to shame and disgrace, or who served in uniform during that period and failed to get the respect that was due them. In 2017, President Trump remedied that by signing the Vietnam Veterans Recognition Act of 2017, establishing March 29th as National Vietnam War Veterans Day. That's coming up very soon. But we have much work yet to do. It's been accurately stated by many historians and scholars that we often take for granted the very things that most deserve our gratitude. Let's not be guilty of that today. And judging by the people who are here, I know that that's not going to be the case. I hope that between now and March 29th, the National War Veterans Day, you'll join me and everyone here in spreading the word about this wonderful display and the opportunity to thank publicly our Vietnam veterans by showing them the honor and dignity that they deserve.
John grew up in San Antonio, played football at UT on a 4-year scholarship. He joined the Navy in 1966, served in the United States Navy Seabees, and a STAT team unit in Vietnam, Micronesia, and the Trust Territories. In 1969, he was Lieutenant Governor. Ben Barnes introduced the Senate resolution recognizing John for his distinguished service in Vietnam. In 1981, President Ronald Reagan greeted John and the fellow Vietnam veterans in the White House Rose Garden to announce his Vietnam Veterans Leadership Program that John would serve on as the chairman. During President George H.W. Bush's administration, John was nominated for appointment as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. In 1985, John established the Vietnam Veterans Memorial of San Antonio, Inc. We can thank John for the inspiring Vietnam memorial depicting the Vietnam War conflict, Hill 881 South. He received high honors for his dedication of the project from Al Gray, the 29th Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. Commandant Gray said that he had earned the deepest respect of the Marine Corps, the Navy, and all of the armed forces. He has been featured in numerous articles of national and military newspapers and magazines, received numerous military decorations and awards for his accomplishments. John is also a proud member of the SARS group, the chapter. So now let's welcome John and let him tell you a little bit.
It is indeed an honor and a privilege to have been asked to address you today. I would like to thank the officers and members of the Alamo chapter, the Daughters of the American Revolution, for extending the invitation and for bringing the wall that heals to San Antonio. And a most sincere thank you to the sponsoring entities. I would also like to acknowledge the Director of Development for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund in Washington, D.C., my dear friend, Luz Lovins, who is here today. Luz works tirelessly for the Gold Star families and has done an amazing job. Given the serious nature of why we are here today, I have no intention of conducting a history lesson on America's involvement in Southeast Asia. Nor am I going to launch into a political rant on Washington's mismanagement of the Vietnam War. This is not the forum for that. I would prefer to talk about something far more important. We are here today to pay tribute to the fine young Americans who perished in the line of duty during the Vietnam conflict, and to remember those who are still listed as missing. To the family members of those who perished, I would like to extend my most sincere condolences for your loss. And I know there are a few family members here today. In my opinion, there is a difference from giving a speech and telling a story. I much prefer to share stories, especially stories with a meaningful message. The story I have for you today is about a journey, a heartfelt journey of reflection that will provide you with another way of looking at things when you view the wall that heals. I was extremely fortunate when I came home from Vietnam. My body and my mind were intact. As proud as I was of my service, I hung up my uniform and put the war behind me. I moved on to the next chapter, went to work, got married, and started my family. I had 3 beautiful daughters. I was meeting with great success in my business, and life was good. My experiences in Southeast Asia were in the distant past, or so I thought. The morning of November 13th, 1982, forever changed the course of my life. I attended the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. I went alone. I went to reflect. As I stood atop the grassy knoll looking down on the black granite wall, a crusty old veteran approached me and asked, "How many do you have on the wall?" My reply, "Too many." He turned and looked me in the eye and said, "One is too many." Think of the parents whose child never came home. Think of the children whose daddy never came home. Think of the empty place setting at the Thanksgiving dinner table, or the loneliness the family members felt on Christmas Day. Think of the young ladies whose daddy wasn't there to walk them down the aisle on their wedding day. Think of the marriages, the children and grandchildren that were never more than a dream. How many would have been doctors, lawyers, or successful business people? We'll never know. Are the names of future governors, senators, or a president etched on the wall? Possibly, but we'll never know. Are the names of future Pulitzer Prize or Nobel Prize winners etched on the wall? Possibly, but we'll never know. Is the name of a world-renowned scientist who had discovered the cure for cancer etched on the wall? We'll never know. There are 58,318 names forever etched in black granite. A haunting reminder of exceptional young Americans, too young to die, never to be forgotten. The first American serviceman to die in Vietnam was Air Force Technical Sergeant Richard B. Fitzgibbon, June 8, 1956. There are 3 sets of fathers and sons listed. There are 40 sets of brothers listed. There are 8 women listed, all nurses. They unselfishly went into harm's way to care for our injured and wounded. Only one was killed by enemy fire. Army First Lieutenant Sharon Lane, June 8, 1969. The vast majority of these fine young Americans were too young to vote, but were old enough to die. Some were mere boys, too young to buy a beer, but they went into battle as true warriors and paid with their lives. These are some statistics that will shock you, I believe. There are 33,103 18-year-olds listed on the wall. There are 12 17-year-olds listed. 5 16-year-olds listed. The youngest American serviceman to die in Vietnam was Marine Private First Class Dan Bullock. He was a mere 15 years of age. The oldest American serviceman to die in Vietnam was Navy Petty Officer First Class Kenneth Taylor. He was 62 years old. 997 American servicemen died on their first day in Vietnam. 1,448 American servicemen died on the day they were scheduled to go home. The last American servicemen to die were 3 young Marines. They died together on May 15th, 1975. They were Private Danny Marshall, Private First Class Gary Hall, and Lance Corporal Joseph Hargrove. 288 San Antonio natives perished in Vietnam. On an even sadder note, there are 1,590 American servicemen still missing. Think of the families, think of the emptiness the families must feel. 5 long decades of wondering, waiting, not knowing, left without closure. Allow me to put this into proper perspective. My name very well could have been on the wall. If it were, my beautiful family, who is here with me today, would have been nothing more than a dream. The mere thought saddens me. However, that stark reality holds true for every young American whose name is listed on the wall. Families left empty, families that never were. To the Vietnam veterans who are here today, your name could have been etched in black granite. Ponder the rippling effect. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here this morning to pay tribute to America's true heroes. No, they weren't politicians. They weren't professional athletes, Hollywood celebrities or rock stars. They were everyday young Americans. They came from every walk of life, every ethnic background, every religion, every community, every level of education. Some were country boys, others were city boys. They came from every corner of our great nation. As you view the wall that heals, I urge you to walk in reverence, speak in hushed tones, because you are on hallowed ground. Stand in awe. You are in the shadow of 160 Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. In closing, take time to look around. There are 58,318 names on the wall that heals, and over 160,000 graves in this cemetery. Over 218,000 lives lost. Over 218,000 stories. These are America's true heroes. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
And now I'd like to have Jean Hewitt with the MSD Squadron Leader come up.
Thank you, Debbie. I see a lot of Vietnam veterans out there. Armed Forces Radio had a greeting every morning. Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, everyone. To all the active duty and military veterans here today, and also to your families, thank you. Thank you for your many shared sacrifices and for your service to this great country. Ladies and gentlemen, as we honor our national flag, please stand and place your hand over your heart. Active duty and military veterans, please render a hand salute. Forward. Please be seated. The all-volunteer Fort Sam Houston Memorial Services Detachment, MSD, was established in the fall of 1991 to perform military burial honors at the Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery, assuring that our nation's military veterans receive a fitting tribute they so richly deserve. As of yesterday, the MSD performed the final tribute that last act of respect to 36,715 fellow comrades in arms. And now we will have a flag folding, followed by 3 volleys of rifle fire, the sound of echo taps, and a flag presentation. We now will have 3 volleys of rifle fire. The volleys are loud, so you may want to cover your ears. Please stand and place your hand over your heart as our buglers sound echo taps. Active duty members and military veterans, please render a hand salute. Please be seated. And now, Assistant Friday Squad Leader Randy Brown will present the flag to Regent Joy Collins, the Alamo Chapter Representative for the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. On behalf of the President of the United States, a most grateful nation, the Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery, and the Fort Sam Houston Memorial Services Detachment, please accept this flag as a token of our appreciation for the military members who honorably and faithfully served this great nation during the Vietnam War. Please be seated. And thank you very much. Hooah!
Thank you, Gene. Now we'll close. We'll have Pastor Joe Waltz come forward for the benediction.
Pray with me, please. Dear God, I personally thank you for the privilege that's been mine of being in this place this day. Lord, as my ears have heard and my heart has felt, I know what I'm experiencing and what others in this group may be experiencing as well. We owe a profound expression of gratitude and confess our indebtedness to those names on that wall. All the families represented thereon, others who have served in such a courageous manner across the years. I pray that our walk and our talk as we go from here will reflect a deeper sense of gratitude for the price that is paid for us to be free. Amen.
Color guard. Retire colors.
Attention. Shoulder turn. Left page. Forward march. Mark time, march. Color guard, halt. Left face. Retrieve the colors. Left face. Forward march. Color guard, right face. Forward march.
Thank you, and that concludes our ceremonies today. We invite you to go and look at the wall in the education centers.
But I couldn't remember all the cool stuff you said. Alright, so let's go to the wall and tell somebody else the story.
Vietnam U.S. Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
Many of these family members suffered for decades alongside their Vietnam veteran as they fought illnesses and diseases related to their service in Vietnam. It's important for the families to have their loved one's service. Most of the Marine Corps has 850,000 people survived in Vietnam. 2.7